Zenkaiger no Kami here with
Krellica Kane! Hi!
And we're here to talk about our final video for Kiramager.
I know. I'm like excited and sad all at the same time.
Episodes 42 to 45.
Still, it's depressing to think that we've finished a full series mid-pandemic, and we started these videos with other people being around.
Yep.
And we slowly have just become the two of us.
Yes, because it was like, it was all of us, and then it was just Advent, and then suddenly it was just the two of us.
I know.
So, and Zenkaiger's probably going to be that way as well, where it will just be us.
But you're with us, so that's awesome.
We need new people.
We have all of them out there.
Yeah.
Everybody who's watching us is with us.
But we need.
They're in our living room.
But we need new people in our group.
So you want new people physically here.
Yeah, we need more people physically here.
But we have them.
But we need people here.
We have them.
Yeah, but after a while, people are just going to get bored of listening to the two of us only. They need other people to interact with. That's part of the fun. Okay, anyway, we're getting off topic. Let's talk about Zenkaiger.
Zenkaiger?
No, I mean...
When has Zenkaiger started?
It started the moment they had the handoff.
Technically, not yet.
Okay, Kiramager.
Are you
We're
sure?
here to talk about Kiramager's finale. Yes.
Are you positive?
Yes, but I also think they talked about... Did that scene in the...
Wow!
The scene in the movie. The scene in the finale, did that look like that was the scene from a movie? Because I don't remember that scene when they were showing them with the legs shooting as a cannon. And it looked like the witch was the witch who was in the movie. So I think that was a movie scene, even though the movie hasn't come out yet. Okay, but anyway. Yes. I feel like Juru right now.
In sparkalization!
But episodes 42 to 45, which was one long 4-part finale, so there's not really a point to talk about them is in each individual episode, because you kind of just...
Well, I do have to admit, though, it's been a long time since I really feel like we had a 4-part ending, where and it doesn't feel like it was just solely this 4-parter as the main thing. It's like it was a full series was like a culmination up to this 4 parts, and then each episode built upon each other. It's like you had backstab versus backstab versus backstab, and touching moment with touching moment, and you're like, oh.
Well, so we were right in the last video when we said Garza was going to betray the Emperor.
Yes, but it was kind of one of those Breaking Bad-ish betrayals. So he betrays the Emperor, but you find out he's not necessarily a bad guy. And then you also find out the reason he doesn't like Juru is because Juru reminds him of himself as a kid. So basically, he doesn't like Juru because he doesn't like his own self. And I'm like, wow, this is a great study in mental health and reflecting on why you have to, as RuPaul says, you have to love yourself before you can love anyone else.
But we had, so we have this thing where it's like, oh, Jiro's like, oh, he's got this cool move, and then he sees Garza do it.
Oh, I know. I thought that was, and rather than talk to anyone, he's like, oh my God, he has this cool move, and then when you do see Garza do the move as Lord Garza at this time, because he has actually at that moment betrayed Yodan by becoming a
new mask.
A new mask. So he becomes a new mask, kicks Yodan out of the mental throne.
Well, it's assumed he killed Yodan, which
yes.
I figured wasn't gonna be the case because it was too easy.
Well, I also figure it's the case because it was episode 42. So I was very impressed with how they did it, because you knew Garza was going to be evil. It wasn't like a shock, it wasn't a surprise, but to actually find out, and this is spoilers, obviously, but I want to say this, to find out that basically, even prior to the series, everything that happens is orchestrated by Yodan was super impressive.
Although I have to say, did no one notice that Garza had a color change? Like, oh, you were bright blue now, and now you're dark purple. Okay, no, did no one bring that up? Like,
it was his emo heart. I had to channel Silver Quill for that moment.
okay.
We saw him yesterday, so I had to channel.
But so that was interesting, and then. Well, then episode 43, though, it ends with Juru possibly dead, and then we have the happy-go-lucky theme song at the end.
Well, no, I thought episode
43 is when he falls off the cliff after Garza's blown up by Yodan, because Yodan returned, and everyone's thinking he's dead, and then...
No.
Yes!
So, no, 43 is a continuation.
Yes! 43 ends after with Garza's destruction, where Kiramager... Yes!
No, 44 is where he comes back.
No, 44 is when he comes back. 43 is when he falls off the cliff.
Well, he falls off the cliff halfway through the episode. You're making it seem like the first 2 seconds of the episode he fell off the cliff.
No, 43 ends with him falling off the cliff because they think he's dead.
Yes, okay,
and what I'm saying is, then they have the happy-go-lucky ending theme song after all that went down.
Well, I know, because when we were watching that, because he falls off the cliff to his death, and I even made that, I was like, wow, this is a way to kill the mood. But it makes you so sad because you're like, ooh, it's the end of the episode, we have to be happy, but oh, he's dead. But I really liked how they handled Juru going through it, because he essentially has to trick his team into letting him go. But I do like the bait and switch of King Ordan being
Oridan
being eaten.
All I kept thinking during that scene is, suck, suck, suck. Blow, blow, blow.
But I do have to say, watching everybody inside Yodan's head, it sounds terrible to say it, it's like that movie Being John Malkovich, if you've...
I was thinking Inside Out.
No, I was thinking of Being John Malkovich, because in that movie, you actually have different people in his head controlling him, actually doing actions, wherein Inside Out, it's just controlling emotion. Being John Malkovich, you're actually taking control of John Malkovich.
But yeah, I liked, it was an interesting concept. I love the red background they used for that. That was really, really cool, because it gave everything this dark glow to it.
I will say I also enjoyed how they set up the next episode for episode 44, because that... you actually legitimately do think, with the way how they did it, that Juru is dead. That everybody is like, wait, Juru's not here.
I did like that Juru, the episode, even though they talked about him a lot, the episode did not focus on him for
Well, it didn't even have the opening song.
Yeah, it was 2/3 of it had no Red Ranger action, which was really cool. Something they haven't done in years.
Well, it was also kind of brilliant because... I was thinking about when I was watching the roll call for episode 45 today, and I forgot, Tame Tomo is technically second in command, which is very rare for a yellow. More often than not, it's usually the blue. If there's a blue on the team, it's the blue that's...
Well, if it's a male blue.
Yes, that's what I mean. And this time around, with it being a male blue, he was not second in command. So it was interesting because usually if it's a male yellow, it's still number 4, not number 2. So I actually found, I don't know why it clicked this point in the series, but I'm like, wait, he really is the second in command there. And it was kind of interesting because you saw that in episode 44 with him taking the lead. But actually watching the emotion and seeing how invested they were in everything.
I also liked with Yodana, when she's about to die, she's like, wait, so my death will make you stronger? Then it's worth it.
I'm like, wow, Stockholm Syndrome. But I don't know if it's really Stockholm Syndrome because she's him. She's Yodan. But I will say it's kind of an insult to say that the girl part is the weakness. I was like, wow, misogynistic much? That Yodana is his weakness? I'm not like a huge feminist like Gloria Steinem or anything, but I'm like, seriously, people?
I don't know. His other side seemed to be the weaker one because he lost in one episode.
I was gonna say, how is she the weakness? That's just my girl power moment.
I did like, so Crunchyla survived.
I still want a cereal for that.
Oh, I love the camera work and that final battle there when it's just going around and like all in one shot.
Well,
when they're fighting the grunts.
Well, that reminded me of like a Kamen Rider type of camera style. Like just, I will say these last 4 episodes, it felt like we were really watching Kamen Rider in our Sentai. Because how the camera work was, how the fighting styles.
How much drama there was.
There was a lot of story,
yeah,
there was a lot of drama. There wasn't a huge flippin' toy commercial. No. It was not like a brand new toy being thrown out there for the audience.
They did a really good job keeping this series low key with.
It felt like a 90s Sentai.
I'd say 2000s.
I would say late 90s.
Mid 2000s. Not 90s, mid 2000s.
I feel it was late 90s. I feel it was on par with like Mega Ranger and then maybe early 2000s. But I really feel it was kind of like Mega Ranger-ish.
I feel more around Alba Ranger, Deca Ranger, Bulkinger period.
I wouldn't say I'd go as far up as Bulkinger. I would say if you were going to look at the early 2000s, I would keep it closer to Abba and Deca.
But it was actually weird because they didn't use the auxiliary mechs that much in the show, so I completely forgot they existed a lot of the times. And then when they show up, I'm like, oh yeah, they have auxiliary mechs.
Well, I liked how they didn't use it as a crutch because a lot of modern Sentai, have tended to use the auxiliary mechs as a crutch rather than as part of the story. And like having Deshark and things used when needed, I thought was awesome.
Mm-hmm. They didn't just throw them all in there just to throw them all in there all the time.
Well, you didn't have El Clusterfucko either.
And then, but yeah, overall it was a really good series. The way they beat Yodan made sense and it worked.
Well, yes, and I don't feel it was rushed. I was a little disappointed that it still happened in the first half of the episode. But at the same time, I'm like, it's been building up for so many episodes. It's not like it was just this 4-part finale. It's been building up and they've gone through so many times where they've been close to done. And actually having to see in this episode all of them dead, I thought was a great bait and switch of saying, okay, if the only way we can defeat him is for him to think we're dead, I guess we're going to have to figure out our acting skills. And so I was quite happy with that. And I was super, super, super excited when we got the unmasked roll call of all 6 of the Rangers doing the through series poses like that they have to do, as well as doing the final pose.
The stunt.
The stunt. And seeing them, I will say, green and yellow, it was a little bit easier for them, but I did feel a little bit bad for blue and pink, because pink is literally, Sayo is on top of Shiguru's shoulders. And it's not like he's a twig, nor he's like this He-Man type dude, but to get it, I was like, that's really good. But just seeing everything, I was so, so excited, because that for me was reminiscent of 90s and early 2000s Sentai, where you have either an out of costume or an unhelmeted team doing their final roll call. And that is something, while I know it can happen, and it does happen in the modern Sentai, it doesn't feel as authentic as this did. Like, all of the cast, from the first episode to this episode, or is episode 0 technically to this episode, they all, you could actually see the growth in their acting, see the growth in the story, and the growth in their skill. I actually feel like for the first time in quite a few years that this is a group that will have great careers in other things if they chose to pursue it. Not to say that the rest of them don't, but this one you actually saw legitimate skill. And for Rio Soldier, I can't say that I'm eager to see any of them in other parts. And yes, we will, but this team, I think, most assuredly deserves it because they work their asses off. And you have to give them even more kudos because they worked their asses off in a flippin' pandemic.
Yeah, there was actually something about, I guess, Toei, they were originally going to do something else with King Oridon, but they couldn't because of COVID.
I'm happy with what they did. They could have done more, sure, but with all that they did throughout this pandemic, especially with Red having caught COVID, and still looking healthy. You could tell he lost a little weight from it, but he did fine, and I was very happy to see that even for a nation that overworks their population, not that we're any better right now in America, but that it felt like, okay, we're not going to kill our team to get this show out.
But yeah, it was really well done. It was the other thing I say I liked overall is it didn't feel like it had that much filler in it. Even the episode, the standalone episodes, still felt like for the most part they contributed something, some sort of development towards the main plot, even if it wasn't much. At this point I don't know what my favorite episode would be because there were a lot of good ones. It would probably still be the reset button ending one. Or reset button monster one, but I'm not sure because then you also had the internet online girl, that one that was hilarious, and all the ones like that came up in the 30s. And
I actually have to say, if I think about it, one of my favorite episodes is the one with Crunchula and Jiru doing the art. Even though I'm like, oh god, cat girls, cat boys, this is a trope in like so many anime series from the 90s. But I actually really liked how heartfelt it was for him and Crunchula, because I really feel like that is what changed Crunchula. I never thought of him as like inherently evil, but I feel like that was the episode that was like, wow.
He's the only character I do wish they had done more with.
Yes, but I'm happy with what they did.
I liked what they did with him. I just wish they had done more. They really could have done a lot, gone above and beyond with him. He was fine. I just wanted more.
Who was your favorite character?
Favorite Ranger?
Oh yeah, let's go with Ranger.
Probably Tame.
Tame Domo? I actually have to admit it's Juru. I honestly thought, because of how much frustration I've had with the Reds, and I haven't had the frustration that you've had with the Reds. Mine was mainly because Lucky really frightened me. But I will say that this Red kind of harnessed the childishness that he needed to have because of his age, the insecurities of a modern younger Ranger having to take the responsibility, because I really do feel that he's a great example of being insecure, of being
He's actually what
introverted.
He's actually what Maji Red should have been.
he was so many things, and introverted is not a bad thing. Insecure is not a bad thing.
Yeah,
it's human.
He did a really good job. I'd say I would actually compare him to Kenta in Mega Ranger.
Yes.
Because he was immature, he had the insecurities, but he still grew as the series went along.
That's exactly it. Because if you think about with Maji Ranger, Maji Red didn't grow. I really don't feel like he grew. Same thing within Real Soldier. I don't think Real Soul Red changed at all.
At least he was mature the entire series.
He was mature the entire series, but he didn't grow. Whereas Kiramager Red grew.
Mm-hmm.
He became... Well, all of the characters grew.
They all had good development.
Except Shigeru got rid of his tough guy persona and became like this overly sensitive guy. Which is fine. I don't have a problem with oversensitive guy, but he was in Garo, damn it!
You just wanted the broody loner type.
He was in Garo! I have expectations of my Garo men. But, okay, so overall cast, who would be your favorite then? Like, of the heroes, villains?
Probably Tommy still, overall. My favorite villain would probably be Garza, because they really did a lot with him. Although I do like what they did with Yodana.
How they didn't redeem her?
No, that was nice.
I was so scared. I was so scared. Because I'm like, please, don't redeem all the villains.
I do wish we had actually got to more with that witch from earlier on in the series.
Maybe that's the movie.
Why, I think the lady who's the villain of that is the sister to that witch. But I really do wish they had done more with her, because she seemed like a cool villain. Although I do still like when they brought her mask back later on with the poison.
I will say one of my favorite overall characters would be Mabashina, because
She grew too.
She grew too, and for her and oh god, I can't remember the brother's name now. His brother, Takamichi's.
Hikaru Tanto the pineapple pen guy.
Yeah, pineapple. Sure, let's go with that.
Remember the one episode where he did that? He's like, it's a pen.
Oh, I was gonna scream. I was gonna throw something at the television. I was like, I watched that video way too many times. But Mabashina grew more than just being that.
How is once too many times? I watched it once.
I feel like I've watched it 20 times because he said it like a million times in that video. But nevertheless, Mabashina, rather than just being that obscure auxiliary person thing, and I hate to say thing, but because you had like the Mandarake. I only remember because you just had Maji Ranger.
Mandara boy.
And then you had other machines, other beings. You had the screen in Bokinger.
Mr. Voice.
And it's like, I always felt like they never gave anything to the series. They were there. Now, obviously, Hurricaneger, there was a lot of hilarity that came with having their auxiliary team. But I feel like Mabashina was relevant to the story, a purpose for it.
And they actually had her do stuff as well.
Oh, yeah.
She wasn't like the one girl from Wizard who just sat in the background the entire time looking into a crystal ball.
And if I have to say my all-time favorite Sentai episode of the modern era goes to Mabashina being drunk.
That's your favorite episode of the series?
I would say of the last few years. Because I don't know what it is, but watching a character in a Sentai series that is targeted for children be drunk. I think it's probably because I love the drunken master style. It's the character I play in DOA. If they had it in Mortal Kombat, I'd probably play that too.
They do.
I've never seen the drunken master.
Bonraichi.
Oh, I've never played him. I've always played Sindel. But nevertheless, I've always liked the drunken master style, and it's one of the favorite episodes I have had in Die Ranger, in Geki Ranger. So having that is just like so happy for me. And yes, and while she didn't do the Drunken Master style, it was still hilarious.
What about the internet goth girl singer?
I want to see a full video of that song.
I know. I want them to do a whole video of that.
I think they just need to have a series on that. Just mysterious goth.
So yeah, overall, I gotta say, I give Kiramager 4 out of 5 grown-ups in spandex.
I'm surprised you don't give it 5 out of 5. Because I think it deserves it.
Maybe.
I honestly, now obviously when you rewatch it, you may have a different perspective, but at least from what we've watched and throughout the year, I really do feel kind of like with 01. I really think...
I will say though, I don't think Kiramager did not feel like it was affected by COVID like 01 did.
No, but...
Which was nice.
I will say you could see their love for it. Everybody had a love for what they were doing. It wasn't just a paycheck.
And they had competent writers, and I think that helped as well. And I think having lesser involvement with Bandai helped.
Yeah, let's see how the next series works. I will say...
We'll talk about that next week.
This kind of reminded me of, like, the arguments that we talked about with, like, Gundam. Like, when Bandai wasn't involved up their ass in Gundam, we had, like, superb series, and then when they were involved, we got, I love G Gundam, but we got G Gundam, because they were like, okay, here you go. I kind of feel like that's what Zenkaiger might be, like, fine, you want to be involved? Make these toys, see if it's possible. Maybe they'll have a tequila monster, like Tequila Gundam.
I know what you were talking about. They already did that in Sentai years ago with the cactus.
Yeah, but they didn't make toys on those back then. They have to make elaborate toys on them these days. Can they? Touché, Toei.
But yeah, it was a solid series overall, the best since Zenkaiger. And it was nice because a lot of the series like Lupin Ranger started out really strong and then fell apart. There was another one that started out. Oh, it was Jewelger kind of started out and then fell apart. So it was nice to have a series that actually started out strong and remained strong the entire year.
But I'm actually happy that this series proved you wrong, because you had a lot of hesitancies when we watched episode 0 and then episode 1. If we roll back the tape to our earlier videos.
It didn't help when Toei said, yeah, we're taking the things that boys love toys, and we're going with the shininess and gems because of girls.
Oh, yeah, no, I got my hackles up at that, too. I was like, oh, so girls just like jewelry? Wow. I see how limited
So,
our
yes,
gender
it was
is.
nice that the show was competently done the entire year.
Oh, yeah, no, if we roll back the tape, hear you having negative feelings, and then as we go along, it, like, you loosen up.
I'd probably just for episodes 1 and 0, really.
No, I know,
because after that, I was pretty much sold on the series by episode 3, I think it was.
See, I was sold on the series even with episode 0, because I'm like, this is good. I like this. I will admit, the only thing I feared is I was so scared Judo would say in sparkleization.
Every time
he had an idea, and he didn't. And when he did, it was like, oh my God.
When he did, it worked. It was done. It fit with the scene.
And it wasn't like a plot device either. It wasn't like, ooh, this is going to be our little plot device to say, this is what's going to happen.
This is how we win. 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 This is how we win.
I was so scared.
So yeah, if you haven't watched Kiramager yet, check it out. If you gave up early on, check it out. It gets so much better.
It is well worth it, and I think it's one of those series that Toku fans must have in their collection for watching.
And then, so all that we have next is the Kiramager versus Ryu Soldier movie.
No, they are doing a versus then.
Well, yes, the Ryu Soldier versus...
Because usually
I
do
don't
the
remember.
verses earlier. That's why I was confused.
I'm confused on it. Yeah, they said there was some Ryu Soldier thing that wasn't happening because of COVID. I don't remember what it was now. Either way, yeah, they did just officially announced Kiramager versus Ryu Soldier. That'll be out in a few months. Hopefully Zenkaiger next week doesn't suck as bad as I'm expecting.
Hopefully it's not like Saber 2.0. And no, we have not watched any more Saber.
No, we have not touched anything. We have not touched episode 2 and beyond. I have no interest in Saber. My sanity cannot handle Saber. Well, on that note, until then, yeah, you prematurely said bye. I wasn't ready to be done yet.
Oh.
I have one final thing. But, whatever.
No, what were you going to say?
I don't know now. It's been lost into space. It's okay. Just watch Kiramager. Until next time. Bye.
Bye.